Some say that he does have ties to Muslim extremists. I don't know.
September 21st, 2021, New York. US President addressing the US General Assembly.
The United States will compete, and will compete vigorously, and lead with our values and our strength. We'll stand up for our allies and our friends and oppose attempts by stronger countries to dominate weaker ones, whether through changes to territory by force, economic coercion, technical exploitation, or disinformation. But we're not seeking, say it again, we are not seeking a new Cold War or a world divided into rigid blocks.
This is not the first time that a US president is attacking China in his speech. Joe Biden is the latest man in the White House who is showing his bare teeth to Beijing. 10 months ago, when Donald Trump was campaigning for his re-election, he blamed Biden for not taking China's rise seriously.
Joe Biden didn't just side with China on the virus. He did. He called me, again, xenophobic. That's what he said. You all heard it many times. He described the rise of China as, quote, a very positive development. Not a positive development. Not for us, it's not. He said that the idea that China is our competition is really bizarre. He's really bizarre.
But now, 8 months into Biden's presidency, the world can see that the ties between Washington and Beijing are still at rock bottom. All the offensive rhetoric behind Trump's trade war may be gone, but the way Biden is challenging China looks even more serious. And in general, the US continues to challenge China in every possible way, in terms of military, economy, technology, diplomacy, and even international leadership on global health. Biden says the US does not seek yet another Cold War, but the question is, if Washington is not looking for another Cold War, why does it continue the bitter rivalry? The answer is simple, because China matters to many of the US allies. Over the past couple of decades, China has increased its economic, political, and to a lesser extent, security footprint across the world. These days, China is the biggest trade partner and external investor for many countries. No matter if the country is wealthy or not, China gives them a deal compatible with their resources. This has been good for almost everybody, particularly the wealthy Arab nations of the Middle East.
今年上半年，中国同阿拉伯国家整体贸易额达到1150亿美元，中国稳居阿拉伯国家第一贸易伙伴国地位。中国自阿拉伯国家原油进口1.3亿吨，占同期中国原油进口总量的一半。中阿复工复产、新闻合作、改革发展等合作梯次跟进，深入交流治国理政经验，不断充实和丰富中阿合作的内涵。
Some of these countries have been traditional allies of the US since their creation, and now, with China rising in every possible aspect, it seems that these traditional partners are shifting from the West to the East. For example, the United Arab Emirates, which has been one of Washington's closest allies, is getting closer to China day by day.
أنا يعني من اللي شفت تطور الصين العظيم السريع في المدن وفي القيادة وفي المدن وتطور المدن الصينية، وأخذنا منها لازم نتعلم منها. قبل 16 سنة أنا ألقيت محاضرة في الكلية الخليج في جامعة الخليج في البحرين قبل 16 سنة، وقلت فيها أن القوة والمستقبل يتجه إلى الشرق، وكنت أعني الصين.
For decades, the UAE has been investing heavily in US assets, buying billions of dollars of US-made weaponry and supporting America's foreign policies, from the occupation of Afghanistan to intervening in Libya's affairs. But now, the UAE is doing more business with China. Washington seems unhappy, and as a result, it has taken an increasingly hawkish stance towards Beijing. For the past 5 years, the US has constantly brought up China-related issues into the spotlight. It warned European partners about security consequences of using Chinese technology, such as Huawei's 5G telecommunications network.
The new US measures restrict Huawei's ability to produce important products using US technology or software. The National Cybersecurity Center has reviewed the consequences of the US's actions. The NCSC has now reported to ministers that they have significantly changed their security assessment of Huawei's presence in the UK's 5G network.
Until quite recently, the leaders of most of the Persian Gulf countries were totally dependent on the United States. For them, Washington was a reliable partner that guaranteed their security and even existence. At the same time, the US looked at them as a reliable source for global energy. But figures show that US oil imports from these countries have declined in the past decade, all as a result of the gas boom in North America. At the same time, Asia's demand for oil has been soaring up every day, and that resulted in a China-Arab relationship which has become more than the Arab states are seeking to make their countries more modernized in the most cost-effective ways, and Chinese technology has been a great help. From artificial intelligence to armed drones, healthcare or renewable energy, China has an answer for everything. The latest is the announcement by Saudi Arabia. Riyadh said that it would use China's Huawei's 5G technology in Neom, the futuristic city it's building in Tabuk province. And the deal was clinched despite Washington's opposition. Arab states still insist that the United States is their #1 ally. They say there is a historical security relationship, and they have made massive investments in the US, particularly in treasury bills. For years, young Arabs have studied in American schools and universities and feasted on its movies, soap operas and music. Arab officials also have time and again assured Washington that there is no prospect of China replacing the US as the dominant foreign military power in the region or the main exporter of arms to the Persian Gulf states. But there's a catch. Like every other leader, Arab countries don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. They are naturally looking to diversify their relations and project their power through border alliances. For this purpose, they looked around and apparently they have found the East, a good replacement for the West. It's actually a wise move. China provides the same technology, only cheaper and a lot more available. As the Huawei 5G technology, even the European countries couldn't resist it. Meanwhile, Beijing is willing to sell weaponry equipment that Washington refuses to sell to Arabs. After all, there's no Congress to approve or halt the sale, and China is already the biggest buyer of Arab states' oil. It's a win-win situation for everyone, except the United States. Last year, Washington refused to sell armed drones to Arab states. As Israel is its greatest ally, the US gives its most advanced weaponry to Tel Aviv and no other country in the region, so that the regime can maintain its military superiority over the Arab states of the region. After Washington's refusal, both Riyadh and Abu Dhabi inevitably turned to China. Another sign of the Arab states shifting towards China can be seen in the recent world health crisis. The UAE turned to China for the COVID-19 vaccine. At the same time, Abu Dhabi said it faced some sanction-related difficulties for importing medical equipment from the United States. Arab states say while their relationship with China is strong, it's not overpowering. That's the kind of ties these states never experienced before, since the US has always tried to control them. The Arabs say their cooperation with China is not going to hurt their relationship with the United States. But as the new Arab generation is inclining more towards the East, is it far-fetched to assume the next generation would put Washington out of their map?